Hey, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to talk about a story that happened back when we were in school, and I thought it'd be fun to share. If you're at the title, you probably can guess what the story's already about, but as most people know, I gotta tell you it from the very beginning. So back then, I went to school. I won't tell you where. Actually, it wouldn't matter because I'm not there anymore. But back then, we had storm drills and we had fire drills, and that was pretty much procedure. That was pretty much the procedure. Whenever things happen that have to do with the weather or have to do with the fire, we would literally just either huddle up in the hallway and crouch down like it was a bomb threat in the hallway, or we would literally walk out and stand outside watching the school burn, which I never thought. I really don't understand why schools think that's a good idea. I don't think they ever account for what if the school goes up and blows up. I mean, what's going to happen when the shrapnel, bricks, and steel is just ripping through the students that are standing only 100 yards away? It's pretty stupid, but we can't judge the schools for trying at least. But back then, we never had procedure on what would happen if something got into the vents. Never. We never thought about it, and I don't think it was ever discussed. But up until now, up until this event, we have discussed it, and it's now part of the procedure. So, this is how I'm going to start the story. Basically, no one knows who sprayed this pepper spray at all. All we know is that once it was sprayed, it was literally just shot up into the vents, and then kids were literally falling down, getting freaking their throats burned and their eyes burned. Kids were dropping like flies. But supposedly, it was just literally a senior prank. And we all know how senior pranks can go. They can either go really well or really terrible. And usually it's the latter. People don't really think about other people when it comes to pranks, especially senior pranks. And I haven't ever pulled a senior prank because I'm not a senior yet. But as you can probably tell, I've experienced a lot of senior pranks because I've been in high school for quite some time. First grade was shot in the air. It was just a normal day. I'm in class. I'm sitting next to my buddy. Let's call him Ted. And me and Ted are just talking about what we're going to do for a project, right? He's like, hey, Joseph, we need to do this, and we need to kick him out the group because he's not going to work. And I'm over here trying to persuade my friend, hey, he's a good guy. We should let him come. Ted then proceeds to just go on a rant, of which I can't remember. But I do specifically remember this. I remember seeing a girl. I was next to the window seat, and I always liked the window seat. If you got the window seat, you could get out of the class the fastest. So basically, all I remember was that I see this girl sprinting down the hall, holding her nose, and her face is blood red. And this is a white girl, and she went from white to looking like a tomato. So that's how I knew something was messed up. And at first I thought she was crying, and she probably was. But this girl's just sprinting down the hall. I didn't think nothing of it. I thought it was just something going on. I didn't really think. But all of a sudden, I see a couple more kids running down the halls, but not as fast. But they're holding their noses and their mouths and closing their eyes really tight. And that's when I start to wonder what the heck is going on. I'm on the third floor of the building. We have 4 floors. I'm on the third floor, and there's people sprinting downstairs. That's when the PA goes on. It's like, we need to initiate a fire drill. Get the heck out of the school. Something's happening. And at first, I didn't know what the heck was happening because it had been a crazy, crazy year this year. We already had a bomb threat, which delayed our homecoming, and we didn't have it because of that. And we got 2 threats, and then we had this. So at first I thought something was really going on because they didn't say it was a fire drill. They said something was happening, and the person on the PA was not helping the way she was talking. She was like this. All you hear, just imagine, you're just talking about a project, right? And all of a sudden you hear this. Please evacuate the building. There's something happening. We don't have much information right now, but we have to get out of the building. Thank you, goodbye. Imagine hearing that, just out the blue. The whole class freezes, and they just stare at the teacher. It was like a unanimous decision made by all the minds inside the classroom. We just stare at the teacher, and the teacher's like, okay. He's over here looking, he's all sweaty and crap. He knows that he's probably going to die today. He's like, okay, stand up, leave your stuff down, don't bring nothing outside. Let's go out, let's do our emergency route. So at this point, he's expecting us to stay calm. But once 5 of the students got up and started sprinting toward the door, the whole school, or the whole class, went into a panic, and we started to book it out the room. And then once the last student got out, you could tell the teacher wanted to get out too, because he starts shuffling his little body around. He's like, okay, is that the last one? Okay, good. Slams the door, doesn't even lock it, and starts walking, starts sprinting. Like, I've never seen a teacher walk this fast before. But we're going down the stairs. And when I get to the stairs, I'm treating this like it's like the last day on earth. I'm trying to get out this school, right? But when I get to the stairs, I'm on the 3rd floor. I got 2 floors between me and the ground floor. And I'm just thinking to myself, how am I going to get out of here? Because at first I was going to use the elevator, which is usually for the disabled kids or special ed kids. I'm not allowed to use it. And I'm like thinking to myself, I can't get down the stairs fast enough. My friend, who had broken his leg at the time, could use the stairway, and he was going towards the elevator. And we're not supposed to use the elevators during an evacuation. But at this point, when you got to the stairs, just imagine a Comic-Con parade for a furry convention. It was that many people. The only chance you could get outside is if you chucked a chair out a window and jumped. But I'm pretty sure no one's going to take a 3-story fall for this kind of situation. So me and my friend book it to the elevator. He scoots on. He's like, okay, hold up, I got the key. Puts the key in the elevator. We go down. And we went to a part of the school where they were going away from us. So no one actually saw us go in the elevator. But once we get down, when I'm in the elevator, I just smell something like, what the heck is that smell? And it's a very familiar smell because a lot of people don't know this, but I had a ghost pepper once when I was a child. It was probably the dumbest mistake of my life, but I ate a whole ghost pepper. So I'm very familiar with the smell and how it feels to get your eyes burnt by it, because I touched my eyes after eating it. So I start to get a similar feeling to that, like every atom in your eye is popping, like snap, snap, snap. You're like, what the heck? And then my tongue is like twitching. I'm like, why is my tongue twitching? And my nose just starts burning, and his nose starts burning too. He's like, what the heck? And then we're just thinking to ourselves, what is in the school? And so basically we get down there, and as soon as we open the elevator, there's just a crowd of people like a freaking zombie apocalypse, just waiting, scooting down, shoving themselves through the crowd trying to get out the building. At this point, me and my friend are like, okay, something really messed up is going on. But everyone's holding their noses and covering their masks. So we're like, there's got to be something wrong with the vents. But no one knew where it came from. All we know is that, and then that's when the fire alarm went off. And when the fire alarm went off, we really thought something was wrong, because at first they just said it, like, leave the building, and people started shuffling out the building. Now the fire alarm's on. Now they're telling us to get the heck out the building. It wasn't just okay, you can get out the building. It's like, get out, now, run. And then that's when all crap breaks loose. People start running, a couple kids get trampled, and we're just sprinting. And then my friend, I'm trying to fold him up. He's like, okay, just bring me over. And then we finally get to the exit, one of the various exits in the hallway. And basically, we're out and we meet up with our class, and our teacher's like, where did you guys go? And we were like, we got caught in the crowd. And of course, he's not really thinking at the time, so he just believes us. So basically, we're just standing next to our class. But the smell was so strong that it still had its effect on some people. I was pretty much done with it because I decided to put on I had like those hoodies that go over your face. I put that on, and basically I started to be fine a bit. My friend was sitting down. He didn't like the smell. And then basically, this is when I start asking for information. I go to my teacher and say, did they tell you what's going on? Like, what's happening? What's your walkie-talkie saying? And my teacher is basically saying, we don't know, but something's in the vents, and people are some people had allergic reactions to it, and other people are just really hit by the smell, and they can't take it. And basically, I'm just thinking to myself, what the heck happened? And then we stand out there for a good hour. They had us sitting out there in 62-degree weather, which is cold for me. I hate 62-degree weather. And even though I've lived in Michigan for most of my entire life, and I've dealt with the worst winters, and I just had my first birthday without snow, literally this year, I hate the cold. And basically, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm going to freeze, and I'm going to die out here. But after an hour goes by, we finally get a clear on him. The teacher gets a clear on his walkie-talkie. He's like, all right, kids, we're going back inside. But when you go back inside, you realize that they have the vents on full blast. They are trying to literally sweep out every bit of air that was in the school. And that's when I realized that something really was wrong with the vents. But the next day goes by. No, we tell everyone's gone home. Some people went home early talking about their parents, saying something happened, there was a gas leak and crap like that. But the next day, we go to school. smell is gone, and things are starting to resume as normal, but no one can deny what happened yesterday, and we start talking about it in class. Every single class, it was probably the first day in which every single one of my classes did not teach a lesson, but talked about what happened yesterday. With full discussion, and we're just talking about, and we're just trying to guess what happened. And then one of the teachers finally is like, someone apparently sprayed pepper spray. But by then, there was this huge rumor that there was a gas leak that went off in the school and put some kids in the hospital, which it did, technically, a little bit. Two kids went to the hospital because they were apparently the closest to this pepper spray. Another kid went to had to get an EpiPen because he was allergic to the spray. And some other kid had his skin irritated and he didn't come to school the next day. So this is a big thing. And we're trying to just think, who did this? And to this day, well, this was actually, it was pre-COVID, and this is the year COVID hit. So basically, after that, no one ever found out who did this. There was no witnesses, there was no source, and you couldn't relate it to anybody because they didn't know who did it. And as you probably can't imagine, the school was not happy about this, and they want to know why this happened, who did it, and they wanted to do something about it. So they kind of went on this CIA investigation. They would yank people out of class at a random time, random day, and they would just pull you in the office, and literally they would put you in a dark room with lit by a single light on the ceiling, and then they'd have this big black sub-principal who was the assistant or sub, I don't know what it is, the second version of the principal, sort of. We had multiple principals, but basically, this man was like a freaking whale shark. He was humongous, and he freaking had a voice that was deeper than Corpse Husband. And whenever he talked to you, it sounded like he was trying to crack your soul with his voice. So basically, I'm in the middle of class, right? And somehow they just thought, I'd have some information on this topic, because usually when things like this happen, I would always be in here. I mean, I had been in the office 4 times prior to this, because of situations that had nothing to do with me, but I had some sort of information because I was a witness, or my friend told me about it and I told them. Basically, that was pretty much it. But they brought me in, right? And they're like, and this man's familiar with me. He knows me. He's like, hey, Joseph. Yeah. We heard that you could possibly have some information that could lead us to whoever did this. And first thing, I'm looking confused because I have no idea who did this. And first things first, I didn't even know there was pepper spray in the vent until someone told me later on. But they're like, hey, you know anybody that could have done this that carries pepper spray? I'm like, I have no idea who carries pepper spray in this school. I didn't even know pepper spray was allowed in the school. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can find in the school. I mean, for God's sake, there was a mafia getting run in the bathrooms. But you couldn't just point out, hey, this guy had pepper spray and he sprayed in the vents. And I didn't know what to say. So the first thing I asked was first thing I say was a question. I'm like, can't the cameras show who did this? And this man literally says, we couldn't pick up anything on the cameras because it was sprayed in the air and we don't know where it originated from. So basically, I was looking confused because couldn't you just open up the cameras, look around, and see if someone reaches their hand in the air or up to the vent, sprays the stuff, and then watch kids react to it? But no. Apparently, the cameras didn't do anything because they suspected it was done in a bathroom. And after that, I'm just thinking to myself, why are the vents to the bathroom, why are they connected to everything else? Are you telling me that as I'm walking around this school, I'm just smelling, freaking filtered crap vapor in the air? Is that what you're telling me? So I'm just confused. I'm like, I really don't know who did it. And I just tell them, but if I did know who did it, I would tell you, but I can't tell you anything about this. He's like, okay, you can't mention this to anyone. We never discuss anything, and that's pretty much it. You know the drill. And that's pretty much everything they said. And that's pretty much everything they tell you after. They bring you in, ask you things, and they say, don't tell anyone about this. But of course, there's always going to be that one idiot that gets brought in, and the first thing he does is go over to his posse and be like, hey man, they brought me in the office because blank, blank, blank. So I'm just like, sure. And I leave. And sure, I didn't tell nobody about it, but of course someone else did because they got interviewed as well. And the first thing they did was tell their friends as soon as they got out, literally. But After that, they they brought me back in like 2 days later because someone told them like, did you tell anyone about about what was going on in here? I'm like, nope. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, I didn't tell anyone because I don't think anyone really cared, and I don't really care. So they let me go because they couldn't say I did. But basically, not only were they mad that someone leaked the information about the freaking interrogations, but they were also mad because they had no idea who sprayed this pepper spray. And the parents of the kids that were in the hospital due to the fact that they had allergic reactions, the dude that had to get an EpiPen, and the dude that had a skin irritation, their parents were not happy. Let's just say that. And they were thinking of suing. I think that would be completely understandable. I mean, if I sent my kid to a school just to learn, and then all of a sudden they come back saying that, hey, some dude sprayed pepper spray in the air and I can't breathe. I mean, I'd be pretty pissed off too. But they needed to find the kid who did it so they could get a proper lawsuit. And I could tell that the school was not trying to find this kid because they wanted to. They're trying to find this kid so the lawsuit isn't directed at them, but at the student. So that's pretty much this whole story. This is the story when a kid sprayed pepper spray and basically caused the school to go into panic. And if you're wondering what happened afterward, this was pre-COVID, yeah, like I said. So this was like just before COVID hit. So just before COVID hit, they enforced a mandatory rule that you couldn't bring any spray products, no spray on lotions or sunscreens or deodorants. You couldn't bring anything that sprayed basically, and if you did, you could get suspended, or if not, freaking detention or something like that. And that's the whole story. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and hit the bell notification so you know whenever I post, and I'll see you in the next video.